After a few days of rest and to catch our breath, we've crossed Europe and finally arrived here at the sandy track of Valkenswaard, one of the most famous tracks on the MXGP calendar. Always have good racing. Plus this year in MX2 we will have a new race winner, as Jeffrey Hurlings is no longer in the class, and as we know he's been so dominant here in the past. But the dark horse this weekend may well be Thomas Covington, who showed us his form in Mexico and in the sands of Assen last year. In MXGP, we cannot wait to see how Antonio Cairoli gets on after that spine-tingling performance in that second race in Trentino. Will he be just as dominant this weekend and claim back vital championship points from Tim Geiser? Welcome to Valkenswaard for the MXGP of Europe.
Paulin takes us for a spin around Valkenswaard, the newly positioned start straight, where if you're a fan of this racetrack during the 90s, then you'll know it's exactly the same start as before, through the fast chicane, over the city hill. And this opens up as well, instead of the right, left, right, the tight corners. So very, very fast on the opening lap, through the rollers into turn 6. That will get very bumpy as the weekend goes on, over the Monster Energy step up. Almost the highest end of the circuit, because as we go through the left over the jump, this is the highest point of the racetrack. Plunging downhill, huge braking bumps into the bank turn around the outside, crossing under the footbridge, and then turning right. 3 waves greet the riders as they crest the hill, through the next left, and then dropping downhill over the single jump, off cambered 180-degree left-hand turn. The only thing keeping the riders up is the bank to the outside. Through the tight right, over the bridge, short jump there, through the left, and then probably one of the longest straights on the racetrack. We hit the single, then the Tag Heuer double, followed by one more single roller into the 180 switchback left. Coming back downhill in the opposite direction, a series of 7 waves underneath the Monster Energy bridge, and then turning right at the end of the straight, around the Monster Energy station, over the 25-metre Ippon step down, over the small single that upsets the balance of the bike once more. Then we head over the step-up jump. Then we have the Monster Energy finish line jump here. Landing through the left, right, left chicane, around the outside of the race tower, and down into the final 180 left. Then it's down the start straight to start another lap here at Valkenswaard. I choose to enter every category because I think it's important for the sponsors. Sure, it's not going to be easy, but we'll choose to do the European 125 and 250, MXGP, MX2, and also the WMX. And then we'll see. It's not simple because we need a lot of different pieces for different types of bikes. 2 strokes, 450s. So it's hard to have all the pieces always ready, but we try.
Non è semplice avere tutti i ricambi sempre disponibili, però ci proviamo.
Yeah, I rode some EMX races the last couple of years, but it's much more easier now with this setup, and the team is helping me and can talk about their experience, and we learn a lot from each other, and it's much more easier to come to a big setup where everything is organized than do it like a privateer.
Inoltre questa stagione
This season, it's a wonderful thing. We've got a lot of young riders in the team and they train together. They all get along really well. And for me, it's always been a dream to help the youngest riders to grow up in this sport and maybe reach the European level and then maybe become world champions.
A essere dei campioni del mondiale, quindi per me è stata una soddisfazione aiutare tutti questi giovani.
I've always raced British Championship. I raced a year in Holland, Dutch Championship, and then the opportunity came up at the end of last year to do 6 GPs. So here we are at the first one at Valkenswaard, and then hopefully if this goes well, we'll continue and carry on and do the rest. It's been really nice actually. The team, I know it's a big team, it's been around for a long time, but they're so relaxed. Everyone's really chilled out. It's really Italian and nice, and so that's good. There's no pressure on me at all. The only pressure on me is from myself, so I'm just going to try and get my head down, learn as much as I can, and hopefully improve race by race.
This is the first year in GPs, so it's been quite tough. I didn't have a great pre-season. Obviously, it was last minute for me to come here and do this, so it was a bit of a rush, but we're learning, and every round's getting better and better, but that's just the thing at the moment. We've just got to take time with it. I'm not at the level I want to be at the moment, that's for sure, but like with the level of the competition at the moment, I think I thought probably it would have been a little bit easier from, I didn't think the whole field would have been as strong as what it was. I knew the top guys were fast, but you get a bad start, it's so hard, even outside the top 15, all those guys are still solid. That's probably been the biggest thing for me and what was a bit of a shock. So, I'm enjoying it though, and I'm learning every round, and I'm just taking it all in.
The gate dropped for MX2 race 1, and it was Paul's Jonas who grabbed the Fox hole shot for the 4th time this year, closely followed by Julian Lieber on the LRT KTM. Adam Sterry on the Monster Energy Kawasaki got a great start in 3rd, but was pushed by Brian Sue, Prado, and Thomas Kjær Olsen, and it was Olsen who took out the young German rider at the end of the opening lap. The 2 riders would then have a job to do to get back through the field. Thomas Kjær Olsen would get back to 9th as Prado fell from 4th. Thomas Covington made the pass on Adam Sterry to get himself into 3rd place as Prado picked himself up, dusted himself down and rejoined the race. Julian Lieber had Paul's Jonas in his sights for the entire race and continued to harass the number 41 of Latvia on the Red Bull KTM. Hunter Lawrence on the Suzuki found himself Carving his way through the field, he found his way past Lars van Berkel, as did the 19 of Thomas Kjær Olsen. They were just inside the top 20 at that time. Jonas rode a cool race though, despite the close attentions of the 33 Lieber. Jeremy Seewer didn't make the best start, but eventually found his way past Adam Sterry to get himself into 4th place around about the halfway mark on his Suzuki World MX2 machine. And despite the superb performance from Sterry in the early stages of the race, Calvin Verlanderen went through, and then the two came together, and it was a foot or a leg injury for the Welshman that kept him out of the points in race 1, and he wouldn't start race 2. Brent van Donnik was just behind as well on the Khmer Yamaha. Eventually he got himself into 5th. He couldn't do anything about Jeremy Seewer in the closing stages of race 1. In the end, it was Jonas who was victorious. Lieber 2nd, Covington was 3rd. MX2, race 2. Charging down into turn 1, it was Jorge Prado this time, with his 4th foxhole shot of the year, but it wasn't to last long for the Spaniard. He came out of the second turn and turned right over the first jump. It looked worse than it was. He actually landed in a clearway. He did remount, but he would not score points. Julian Lieber was 2nd, but then got hit from behind by Brian Sue. It was rider error from the Belgian, and he would pick himself up but would go straight back to the paddock. Jeremy Seewer had a much better start this time, so too did Conrad Muse, but then the young Brit fell from 4th position. He would remount, but he too would fail to score points in the second race. Jeremy Seewer got alongside the American Darian Sanai on the Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki. That pushed him down to 4th. And it wasn't long before Petr Petrov came through on his Monster Energy Kawasaki in what was a good ride for the Bulgarian back from injury. Brent van Donnik again on the Khmer Yamaha was putting in a good showing, but another bad start for the Belgian meant he was having to carve through the field once more. Thomas Covington had one crash too many that left the bike a little bit second-hand, and a dejected American walked disconsolately back to the pits. His race was done. Brian Sue was having a fantastic ride on the Mara Gep Husqvarna. The number 81 eventually had to yield that second position to Jeremy Seewer at about the halfway point of the race. Brent van Donnik once again put in another spirited ride in front of his Belgian fans, and of course the many Dutch fans as well. Got himself in 3rd with that pass on Brian Sue, who was certainly a start in the making. Thomas Kjær Olsen also found his way through, as did Hunter Lawrence in the closing stages. Brian Sue would eventually come home in 6th. Paul Jonas, though, took the checkered flag for the 7th time this season ahead of Jeremy Seewer and Brent van Donnik, with Thomas Kjær Olsen and Hunter Lawrence rounding out the top 5. And the podium, the same as it was in race 2. Jonas, Seewer and van Donnik on the podium for the first time in 2017 for Khmer.
My season starts not like I want, but I try to do better now. I try to do the best and going on the front now. This year we have a full support factory of Yamaha, and we have engine factory and bike factory.
For sure it's a difference. Michele did a great job on the bike. We have also the electric starters since last week, so that's a plus point also. It's my 3rd year now in the team, and we have a really good relationship, all three. It's nice to train in a bigger group, so we can make some heats together and train at Jackie's home. So yeah, it's nice.
We have a trainer and we train together every day, and they are one step better than me, so I can try to learn and follow them. And yeah, it's really good to have like a race also in the week.
We do all three the same thing on and off the bike. We train every day together at Jackie's home or on the track, so physically we should be on the same level, I think.
It was really difficult last year. Yamaha asked us to do this for Valentijn Gio, and we did it, but on the end it was too much for the chief mechanics, the mechanics, too much work. If we have problems, then it was a disaster in the weekends. So I'm happy now we can focus only on the MX2 class. Well, if you see, Benoit Poitrel was last year 3rd in the World Championship, so the goal was to fight for the title. And with Brent, I think last year he was a good first 4 Grand Prix, and then he crashed and he had an injury on his knee. So we think he can be in top 7. And with Alvin, we think top 10 should be good.
Now I'm 5 on championship, but yes, I try to make a really good race and take race per race, and we will see at the end of the season.
It was not so difficult for me to move here because they welcomed me good, so it was a good move.
Benoit's quality is he has a really smooth style, and he is not really aggressive. You don't see him making many mistakes. Brent is more aggressive, and he's a really good sand rider, but he still have to learn on the hardpack. Alvin has the same problem as Brent actually, because the 2 riders are born in Belgium or the other one in Sweden. It's more sand, so they have more problems on the hardpack, but I hope with a few years they can be good on that also.
MXGP riders charge down to turn 1, headed up by Gauthier Paulin on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna with his 2nd foxhole shot of the year. And if you needed a clear track, today was the day to do it. The roost off the back wheels, the sand sticking to the goggles. Paulin had a clear vision, closely followed by Geiser Bobryshev. Tony Cairoli, he fell at the end of the first lap after a poor start anyway, and was outside the top 15 by the time he got going. Geiser gave chase in 2nd, closely followed by his teammate, Bobryshev of Russia. The 2 HRC guys riding line astern. Hurlings made a better start, but the usually fast bullet around the sand, finding it difficult to contain the 450 riders at his first attempt in MXGP. He got a lucky break when Romain Febvre stalled his Yamaha, went down from 5th. Febvre would eventually come home in 7th, and then another mistake from Geiser gave confidence to Jeffrey Hurlings as he charged his way up into 4th and went after the Yamaha of Jeremy Van Horbig. Another rider having a great time was the 27 of Arminas Jasikonis, and in the early stages Max Nagel too. was having a good time as well. Eventually came home in 10th on the number 12 Husky. Jasikonis put reputations aside, charged down the inside of Geiser to get himself into 5th. That's where the Suzuki World MXGP rider would stay, as the Monster Energy Yamaha of Van Horbeke carved his way past Bobryshev to get to 2nd with a handful of laps remaining. Herlings was 2 on the charge. He blasted past the Russian at the top of the hill. He had the fans on their feet as he went after Van Horbeke. As the two battled for 2nd, Herlings thought he'd made the pass stick. He ran out of room. Van Horbeke was back through. He had to settle for 3rd behind the Belgian and the Frenchman, Gauthier Paulin. The Frenchman, number 21 on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, took his first race win since Germany 2015. Van Horbeke was 2nd, Herlings 3rd, Bobryshev and Jasikonis your top 5. Visibility problems kept Cairoli from advancing further than 9th in race 1, but he made sure that he had a clear vision in race 2 as he raced to his 3rd Vauxhall shot of 2017. Gauthier Paulin was in 5th behind the 2 Yamahas of Van Horbeke and Romain Febvre. He quickly dispatched of the former world champ as he went after Van Horbeke in 4th. Cairoli got his head down, trying to disappear at the head of the field. With Paulin in 3rd, Jeffrey Herlings was starting to make his intentions clear as he went after Romain Febvre and Arminas Jasikonis, but the two riders made it difficult for the 84 on the Red Bull KTM. Herlings would pass, get repassed on several occasions by Romain Febvre, who was having a hard time at his home round. He thought he made the pass stick for a 4th time. Again, Febvre battled back and refused to give up the 6th place that they were fighting over. Paulin was 3rd, Geiser 4th. Eventually, Herlings did find his way through, and that was the key that unlocked his race. He charged down past Geiser to get himself into 5th position around the halfway mark, and then went after Gauthier Paulin and Jeremy Van Horbeke. Van Horbeke was 3rd on the Monster Energy Yamaha. Paulin, all of a sudden, decided it was time to go. He hooked 2nd on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna and started to leave Herlings on the Red Bull KTM in his wake to deal with the challenge of Geiser on the HRC Honda, although it was very brief. Paulin charged down the inside of Van Horbeke to get himself into 3rd, and then went after Bobryshev. And in quick succession, he picked 2 riders off to get himself into 2nd as Herlings continued to fight on for a podium position. Van Horbeke slipped up on the final lap. Eventually came home in 5th, just behind Geiser. But it was Tony Cairoli who was in form once again, like he was at Trentino. He came over the line to take the win, but it wasn't enough for him to get on the podium this weekend in Holland. Gauthier Paulin's 2nd position earned him the Grand Prix victory. Jeffrey Herlings came home with 2 3rd places, and that was good enough for 2nd overall. The first visit to the podium for the Red Bull KTM rider, edging out Jeremy Van Horbeke on the Monster Energy Yamaha. But for Paulin, it was his first win since he won here back in 2015. It's Husqvarna's first ever victory around Valkenswaard. Geiser continues to lead the championship by 14 points, so Paulin is now up to 3rd. Next stop is Latvia.
It's time to leave the Netherlands, but what a weekend we've had here in Valkenswaard. In MX2, Paul's Jonas got yet another double moto victory. He's kept that red plate and will take it to Latvia in 2 weeks' time to race with it in front of his home crowd. In MXGP, Jeffrey Herlings ended his winning streak here, but did all he possibly could to get on that podium, and his hard work paid off. Gaultier Paulin won his first overall victory of the season, and it was Husqvarna's first win in the sands of Valkenswaard. Tim Geiser is still leading the championship, however has lost more valuable points to Tony Cairoli. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time on the Kegums track for the MXGP of Latvia.